Hey everybody, welcome to another Gnumeric tutorial. Today I'm going to walk you through an example plugin, and really this plugin is something I've done before, but it's a geoencoder. Geoencoder is basically when you take an address and then you convert it to Latin longitude, and this can be very helpful in a lot of situations, one of those being plotting it on a map or something like that. So I wanted to walk you through really a practical example, and it's something that Gnumeric in a lot of ways is a lot easier to do than something like Excel because you have access to Python and all the nice features that brings in terms of working with JSONs, whereas VBA is not as nice. You can do similar things that I've done it in Excel, but this certainly is a lot easier to do than doing it in Excel. So if you haven't seen it, check out my install video, which should pop up, as well as my first Python plugin walkthrough in Gnumeric, which also should be on the screen. And if you haven't seen it, please do. This will walk you through installing it, installing the extras, and then it'll walk you through how the plugin system works. Today I'm just going to really show you what I've done, and then additionally, if you can check it out in the link, I included the link to the files that I'm using today, so you can take those and use those as examples if you want. Alright, so like I said, this is going to be a geoencoder example, and what I'm doing today is gonna use Winnie's locations as an example. So I just pulled up all the Winnie's locations in Nashville, Tennessee, and what I did here was I took that and I put it into a Gnumeric file. And really, this Gnumeric file's got two things on it. So it's got a list of all the addresses that show up for Nashville, and then I'll show you here. But then we have my plugin example function. Another thing is we have this API key. So this is a one-time API key, and what I'm using, and I'll show you here, is the freemium account from here. Here is a map provider similar to Google and other things, but they have a nice freemium account that you can use to set up things like that. Which is really easy to work with. Basically, all you need to do is sign up for a developer account, and then what you do is, once you sign up for a developer account, again, it's totally free. You have some restrictions here. You'll want to go to the rest, the app ID. I'm actually going to delete this after, but you'll have your app ID, but the real key thing is this API key, which you're not going to see here, but you can see it here. Again, I'm going to delete this after this video, but you create your API key, and that's what you'll be using in to authenticate for the plugin. Again, really great documentation. You can go here and you can see the different services, not just geoencoding. You can do this for. So here I've used them quite a bit, and I do like them in terms of their documentation and things. So again, going back to the Winnie's locations, right? So I have it all plugged in here, and really the thought is, when you look at file lists, and this is maybe just one example, but you see all the different locations here, but let's say you want to plot it on a map or something like that. Geocoding will allow you to get all the lats and longitudes so that you can do that. So let me take you to the function. Now the first thing actually I want to show you is how you add the particular plugin I'm going to show you to the Gnumeric file. So the way you do that is you go to Tools, you go to Plugin, you go to Directories, and then you go to Add. And the one I added is in this Gnumeric examples, and then plugins. I've already added it, and then you press the Add. That's where all your functions are going to be at, and you can see that here. And once you add it, as long as you have your configuration set up correctly, when you open up Gnumeric again, you should see the functions. And again, if you've seen my original video, I'll walk you through a little bit more in depth. So let me go to the function. So I'm going to pull up and add them here. And again, I'm going to share this code in the description here. But it's ends up being pretty simple. So you got to write your plugin XML. Again, I pretty much copy and paste it from the previous, but really the key thing is this here. So this is going to indicate the file. So just fun, standing for function geoencoder, and then you down here the other important thing is the service. So this ID needs to line up with the beginning part of this functions declaration at the bottom here, and then the actual function name, so which we declare here. And really this function is pretty simple. It's importing the Gnumeric the packages, but really I'm just using this is Python 2, so keep that in mind. This is Python 2, not Python 3. So I did run into little issues with that early on in terms of some of the tools and things, a little bit different syntax than Python 3 might have, so keep that in mind when you're looking at it. But it's pretty simple. I'm not actually adding anything, so this should work out of the box if you download have Python 3 on your computer. And you can see here, right, if you go to here, you can look this up. You can see there's a bunch of different ones, but this is the request. One of the important things is you do need to make sure you encode the address, so so that it properly parses. You don't want like spaces and things when it actually generates the URL. You're gonna make the request, and then you're gonna convert it into JSON, and then basically you're just gonna take out the coordinates from the response, from the first response, and then you're going to parse it, and you're going to return back the lat and longitude. So it's a pretty simple function here. So I'll show it in action. So I have it written up already, so you can look at it. So it's Geocoder, and so it's got this address selected, and then the other input, and you can see this here. The first value is address, and then the second is the API key. And on the second tab here, I have the actual API key. So it's pretty much, so it's taking the address, and then it's returning back that lat and longitude number. So you can double click this and drop it down. It's going to take a second, and boom. So now you have all the different lats and longitudes for this particular address. So let me take it a little step further. In fact, I'm going to paste special values, spaces values. Okay, then I'm going to go data, text to columns, separator forward. I'm actually going to do commas, okay, and then finish. And now you got your lat and longitude broken apart. I'm going to save this, and then what I'm going to actually do is export this. Data, export as CSV, and I'm going to save this. Yep. So now that I exported the CSV file, I'm actually going to go to the site that I created, simplemapper.com, and really the whole idea was I learned some different mapping things, and it's pretty basic in its functionality, but it's kind of cool, so I'll include this in the link in the description as well. But basically I'm just going to upload the file we just exported, not that one, sorry, the CSV file here, and I'm going to upload this, and I want lat longitude. And again, this is something of my creation, so if you haven't seen it before, that's why. I'm going to close this out, and then boom. So now you can see it's all plotted out here. In fact, actually, you can that's fine. I want the addresses to show here. So now you can see all the different addresses. And again, you can play around with it and customize it and do other things if you really want to, but anyway, it just shows you why this type of thing can be powerful to have lat and longitudes, and hopefully this is a good example of why this plugin simple system is pretty advanced and can be very powerful. So anyway, appreciate it. Thanks for watching.